and again, I wrote about this. I do think it has nothing to do about the talent on the field. Nothing. I you know, I'm not saying I'm reporting that. It is
It's just your
speculation.
opinion, right? I
Yeah,
get where you're coming from.
I don't think it has anything to do with anything on the field. I think it's something off the field.
We are the Mac and Mac guys here on Birds 365. Jody McDonald along with John McMullen. Got another hour to play talking Eagles football with you. John, I try and get to as many websites as I can when I get up in the morning, get prepped for the show. I didn't make it over to the 33rd team. Joe Banner got any updates on Deshaun Watson and the Eagles?
I haven't made it over there yet. Yeah, when Joe wrote that piece, I mean, look, his thought process was sound in that obviously Joe knows, Jeffrey Lurie very well. He understands that he would give him the second chance, so that's part of the hurdle. I always go back to Bruce Arians. Before Tom Brady came back, he got the question, and Bruce simply said, "Hey, that's an organizational decision. That's a Glazer's decision, essentially in Tampa, if they're going to go after Deshaun Watson, and they would have probably if Tom Brady didn't decide to come back. But so he knows that hurdle was overcome, and that he knows that Jeffrey Lurie's already given permission for the Eagles to go get Deshaun Watson if it's possible. So that's a big part of it. That's the first big part. The second part, and where Joe got it wrong, to be honest, is he was assuming that the talent versus tolerance part of it, that talent wasn't going to win out, and all of a sudden the ecosystem would shrink and lesser teams would be interested in Deshaun Watson because of all the obvious issues. And that would open the door back up to the Eagles, who he doesn't want to play for because he doesn't want to sit out another season. So he might have to consider places he doesn't want to play for. That part completely wrong. The exact opposite happened. 12 plus teams, I was told, contacted Houston immediately. Everybody was getting in line as predicted by others. Look, I mean, you can play, you can get on the moral soapbox, you can do whatever you do. That's fine. That's each individual's talent versus tolerance. Talent's going to win out in this league every single time. As soon as the criminal aspect was taken away, people are lining up. And, he seems to have focused in on Carolina, New Orleans, and Cleveland. If I was a betting man, I would say New Orleans would be his first choice. And we'll see how it shakes out. I don't know why he doesn't want to play in Philadelphia. I can't, but I do think, and again, I wrote about this, I do think it has nothing to do about the talent on the field. Nothing. I'm not saying I'm reporting that. It is
It's
speculation.
just your opinion, right? I
Yeah.
get where you're coming from.
I don't think it has anything to do with anything on the field. I think it's something off the field, whether it's, again, I mentioned, with Miami, it was weather, it's tax situation, it's some obvious things from a financial perspective. You don't have those things in other places. You do have to throw in the mix, and I threw it in the mix, the difficulty of playing in this market on top of all these allegations. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on Deshaun Watson if he comes to Philadelphia. Maybe his agent knows that. Maybe he's steering him in a different direction. I don't know. But I don't think it has anything to do with, the Eagles stink and insert Cleveland is good or New Orleans is good. I don't think it has anything to do with that. As Dave pointed out, This is the top 5 quarterback in the world from a talent perspective. He To get to that position in your life, your mindset is, I'm going to win. Like, give me anybody, I'm going to win. I don't think it has anything to do with on field anything. Really don't, Jody.
No, you're probably right. I don't know that you're right, but I certainly understand your argument. It bothers me. It really does.
Well,
Because
yeah,
if it were me, I would do it differently than you're suggesting Deshaun Watson may be doing it. That would be a priority to me. I would want to go to the best on-field situation that I possibly can. And if I've only got the dregs of the NFL, well, I shouldn't call it New Orleans dregs, but Carolina was last year, and Cleveland was last year, despite high expectations. Yeah, no, I'm going to put that at the top of my list. How good a team am I going to? If I want to be considered alongside the Patrick Mahomeses of the world, here's what I got to do. I got to get to the playoffs. I got to make the playoffs. I got to win playoff games. Yeah, I don't know that I'm doing it in some of the places that he's meeting with already.
Yeah, I mean, I get, and I get why fans think it because, fans, that's what they see. That's what they see. They see on the field, and that's all they see. And they don't see, I think Mike Kay was on. They don't see how the sausage is made. And a lot of times in these situations, um, it's how the sausage is made. It's not the sausage. If it makes sense.
It does, but I just happen to disagree with those who would go about their business that way. I would want to look at the sausage before I looked at the sausage. I would rank the actual sausage against the process of making the sausage if it were just me. And oh, by the way, and people are suggesting this, and we don't know. Let me put it this way. I ask you a question first. After Deshaun Watson is traded and his legal issues are um, further on down the road, if not completely solved, because the civil actions are just going to be he's going to write a check and then he's going to try and get on with his life. He'd probably rather not talk about that. So you should be able to answer a question like, why didn't you choose a place like Philadelphia? Do you think we'll ever get a straight answer from Deshaun Watson?
Probably not. Maybe after his career, maybe years down the road. Maybe we get it from his agent at some point. I think I think that would be further down the road, though. But yeah, it's interesting. I will say that I've no because you talk about and say some of the good things, bad things off the field in Philadelphia. There's good things, and one of the good things that I wrote about is that if you want to compare organizations, Philadelphia certainly has a stronger organization than Carolina or Cleveland. New Orleans, you can debate. They've had some tremendous success as well. Um, the Eagles are a strong organization around the NFL. That's their reputation. We talk about it all the time with front office executives going other places. They, so my point is, amongst the agent world, the Eagles are well regarded. So it's not like Deshaun's agent is steering him away from Philadelphia and saying that's a disastrous spot, like Jacksonville. Jacksonville, you would say.
You
Well,
mean
if
like
we're
when the Sixers were being run by Sam Hinkie?
yeah, exactly. So Jacksonville, Christian Kirk said, "Well, we'll go there if they overpay us, but that's a shitty organization." It's my third shitty today, but you know, that's not the Eagles. So I there's something, and if you're asking me to guess, I don't think he wants the heat of this market. I mean, that's my guess. It's my pure guess, my pure speculation. I don't think he wants the heat of this
Okay,
market. And I
well,
kind of get it. I kind of get it, by the way.
I talked about this last night on WIP. I get that because one of my calls suggested the same thing you did. He doesn't want to work on the Klieg lights that is Philadelphia sports, specifically the quarterback position for the hometown football team, which is the most scrutinized sports
Maybe he knows
position.
Ben Simmons.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, Eagle quarterback more scrutinized than Ben Simmons, because that's just the way Philadelphia rolls. So I'll give you that. They care about football in New Orleans. You want to go
Yeah.
down and be the guy who's supposed to replace Drew Brees? Okie dokie, Deshaun. Good luck, my friend. It's not like you're going to get a free pass there. Carolina's Carolina. But you don't think that you're going to be under the microscope in New Orleans if you take over that Saints team?
And I joke about Ben Simmons a little bit, and I think it's completely unfair because people know about me. Philadelphia was absurdly to the point of blind, willful blindness supportive of Ben Simmons for years and years and years, right up until the end. But cliches are cliches for a reason, Jody. Perception is always greater than reality. The perception of Philadelphia outside the city of Philadelphia is not good when it comes to sports. You know that.
You don't have to tell me about Ben Simmons. If I took one call, I took 20 calls over the first couple of years here. He's the next Magic Johnson.
Oh, yeah. It was willful ignorance for his entire run, basically, until the last month when they did turn on him. And rightfully so.
Rightfully so, correct.
They turned on him too slowly. If anything, you should criticize him for that. Again, it's not fair the way they're portrayed often. And it's always, even when it is something, like the knucklehead who showed up when Ben came back, that was over the top. That's not necessary. That makes Philadelphia look bad. That's the kind of stuff that makes Philadelphia look bad outside the city. And it doesn't matter if it's not fair. That's the perception. And look, Deshaun Watson's not doing his homework. He's not saying, oh, they were very supportive of Ben Simmons. You don't know. He just knows what he hears. So that's why it's my guess. Again, I'm not telling you that's the reason, but that's my guess.
All right. Let me ask you about, and this ties into the article that you got on phillyvoice.com, which I read this morning, which was thought-provoking. I kind of beat up on Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk on my CBS show on Sunday night.
Good.
Because he had been just beating the drum continually about Tom Brady ending up in San Francisco. He wants to go home. He's going to go home. The Bucs owe it to him that if he wants to finish his career in San Francisco, they've got to let him do that, which I throw the flag on and say BS. They don't owe him any. They have him under contract for this upcoming year. Bruce Arians was on record. We have no intention to trade him. If we did, we'd started about 5 first-round picks for a 44-year-old guy. That's like the point I was making about Gardner Minshew being worth a potential 1. Not happening. 5 first-round picks. I don't care if he is the GOAT. You're not getting that return. Not happening. But Arians was trying to make a point. He's ours. We're keeping him. If he's retired, he's retired. But don't think about him being anywhere else. And Florio just kept pounding that drum and pounding. And I'm sure he had somebody in Brady's camp feeding him. Yeah, Tom would really like to go back and finish it. Well, that's nice. But Brady was not in a position to dictate terms. And you always have to take that into consideration. Who's dictating terms? To Deshaun Watson and his agent's credit, when they did their second contract, they got a no-trade clause. And we've seen 2 big quarterbacks this offseason basically control the movement and the narrative because they had no-trade clauses. Russell Wilson and now Deshaun Watson. Are we going to see a swing of that, John? You kind of talked about this in your article about it being almost the NFL coming NBA-like, where the players dictate terms as much as the teams do, if not more so, with free agency and building super teams and the like. It's 2 quarterbacks. They've been very prominent in the news the last month or so, but it is just those 2 guys. And we're seeing a bunch of guys sign free agent contracts. I don't know if Christian Kirk got a no-trade clause on top of the $72 million that he did. I'm betting against it. I haven't seen it reported that way. Are we going to see more of that in the future? That guys, because that's the difference between Deshaun Watson has more control over where he's going to be playing football than Tom Brady does. Now, Brady, as I stated, is 44 years old, and that's a factor to it. But one guy is the greatest of all time, and one guy is a guy who's flashed some pretty good skills and on talent is considered a top 5 quarterback, but on accomplishment, he's not that. Are we going to see more guys trying to get that all important piece of the puzzle, the no trade clause, so that they can control the
Yeah, they're going to
trajectory of their
try.
career?
And it's only, as I pointed out in the order, it's only quarterbacks. I mean, in certain quarterbacks. So it's not to an NBA level, but you can see it seeping in, especially at the quarterback position. And it's one of the things I want to ask Jeffrey Lurie at some point when we get to talk to him. The owners' meetings are coming up. I want to ask him about no trade clauses and what he thinks about. He's not going to answer the question specifically, so you got to frame it in a way he'll answer it. And I'm going to try to if I ever get to speak to him again, to get his thought process on no trade clauses and their impact on the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if I frame it that way, he'll answer the question. And if anybody, other reporters are watching, feel free to steal it. I don't care. I just want to get the answer.
Same here.
Because I do think it's obviously it creates issues. I mean, Russell Wilson steered himself and Mark Rogers, his agent, steered himself to Denver. Flat out did. It's interesting. If Deshaun didn't have the issues he had from a legal perspective, he would have been able to steer himself to where he wanted to go. He'd be in Miami right now. There's no question about it. He would have been able to do that. And he still got a big input, obviously, on where he's going to land. So, look, I think, the toothpaste is already out of the tube. So, other big name quarterbacks are going to ask for the same thing moving forward. And it's going to be interesting to see if organizations realize this and realize this is probably not the best path to be going down and try to hold the line. But I don't know how you hold the line. I mean, the dam's already broken. I don't know how you hold the line. Aaron Rodgers, the numbers are coming out, which are outrageous for his new contract at Green Bay. It'll be interesting. I imagine there's going to be a no trade clause in there. He's at the end of his career anyway, but if things go dramatically horrible this season, and I imagine he's going to have, especially after what he just went through over this 2-year period, he's going to push for that, and he pushed for that, and he probably got it, but and maybe that'll come up at some point. It's kind of hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube, Jody.
You know what? I'll disagree with you. I'll bet you he doesn't get a no trade clause. I'll bet you that's because the numbers are so outrageously high. I'll bet Green Bay paid him more to not give him a no trade clause. And by the way, if you're going to take a stand, if you're Green Bay, as you're just opening your wallet and saying, go ahead, jump in there for as much as you need, I'm going to take a stand somewhere. You wanted complete control. You wanted us to take a year off the contract. You wanted to have the ability to walk out the door. Well, why do you need a no trade clause? We're not trading you. We've bent over backwards to do everything possible to make sure that you're happy in Green Bay. Plus, you want a no trade clause on top of it? No, that you're not getting. $50 million per, you need that? Okay, yeah, we'll sign that check. But we're not giving you the no trade clause as well. If I were a betting man, I bet you Rodgers doesn't have that in his new deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, more to me is that, well, they made up, and he's probably going to only play the next 3 years anyway, so it's not even going to come up. So they might throw it in there and say, who cares? But, as a whole, just as a trend, and especially with younger quarterbacks and younger star quarterbacks when they're on their second or third deals, their agents are going to be pushing for it, and the precedent has been set. It's hard to get 32 teams to say, you know what, Seattle made a mistake, Houston made a mistake. Let's all collude, which you're not allowed to do, wink, wink, and say, no, we're not going down this route. Yeah, I don't know.
Here's my take on the three, as of now, three biggest guys who would at least be in a pretty strong position to ask for it. I would say only one of them is a lock to get it. Lamar Jackson, which is a whole weird situation because he's negotiating himself. He doesn't have an agent, which makes it a little weird. And he says he wants to stay in Baltimore, but he wants to get the maximum amount of money they can. And Baltimore said they surely want to keep him. They're ready to commit to him, but yet they can't get a deal done. And I got to believe it's a hang up because an agent is not involved in that. And when they try and put the Ravens try and put anything in perspective, they have to worry about, are they alienating themselves with Lamar Jackson? That'll be a tricky one. And I bet you he doesn't get the no trade clause. Joe Burrow should absolutely get a no trade. Second year in the league, he's already taken a team from 4-11-1 to the Super Bowl. But it's the Bengals. And the Bengals don't like to be dictated. They want to run their organization the way they run their organization, cheaply. So I'm guessing they'll hold the line and not give him a no-trade clause. The one guy who's a lock to get it is Herbert. You were talking about the Chargers earlier, bringing in Khalil Mack, bringing in J.C. Jackson. Even though nobody really cares about them out there in L.A., they're all in to win. I give the Chargers credit because they're absolutely heading in that direction. They got to keep up with the Rams in that building. When push comes to shove, oh, yeah, Justin Herbert's going to get a no-trade clause.
Yeah, I mean, last I heard, we were at 4. And that was Wilson, Watson, Patrick Mahomes got one, and Drew Brees had one. So that was, probably 2020, 2021, whenever Mahomes got his, when he signed his new deal. Yeah, I don't think they can stop it now. So you're probably right with Herbert and Joe Burrow.
3 players in a league of how many?
Well, no, I mean, first off, it's only quarterbacks. They're the only ones with power. So forget about everybody else. I mean, it's only quarterbacks in the NFL. But when it comes to quarterbacks, the guys setting the trend are more so even than Russell Wilson or Mahomes and Deshaun Watson as younger players. And obviously, Deshaun was able to get it before the issues. Yeah, I mean, the Joe Burrows of the world, Justin Herberts, those are 2 good names. I mean, their agents are going to, well, they got it. We want it. Yeah. I mean, that's what they're going to do. And you want to make your quarterback happy, especially when he's a superstar.
It is a unique position in not only its own sport, but in all of sports. The quarterback position, the rules are different there than everywhere else. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We are the Mac and Mac guys on Birds 365. Continued bird conversation coming right back at you.